Now that you know what GNP and GDP are, well, we're going to focus on GDP here, but we're going to do some calculating, some number crunching. Okay, so here we go. Now, just so you know, I'm going to have columns of numbers that are going to stretch all the way across here before we're done. So, if you're taking notes, you might want to turn your paper to the side there, have the long way, that way. Anyway, here we go. We've got, let's say year one. Well, year. We're going to have 2 years involved, year one and year two. And we're going to have 3 goods. One will be bread. Here we'll put the price of bread and the quantity of bread. And the other, well, 2 more goods to go. Bicycles will be our other good. Here's the price of bikes and the quantity of bikes produced. And our only other good in our economy is dental services. So we eat bread, we ride our bikes, and we go to the dentist. That is it. Okay, easy enough. Well, in year one, 2 units of bread were produced. And the price of bread was $10. 20 bikes were produced at a price of $50. And 5 fillings, okay, at a price of $100 each. Okay, there's our economy in year one. So what is the value of all final goods and services produced in year one? What is that called, by the way? The value of all final goods and services produced? GDP, gross domestic product. I should add produced within our borders, because that's what GDP is. GNP, gross national product, is produced by U.S. firms. Okay, well, easy enough. We just add these up. Let's see. 2 times 10 is the value of the bread. 2 times 10 is 20, right? So 20. Well, I'm going to run out of room. Well, I'll write it down. Okay, 20 plus bikes times the price of bikes. That's the value of the bikes produced. Okay, 20 times 50. Well, that's 1,000. So $1,000 worth of bikes produced. And 5 dental services, 5 fillings, times $100 each. $500 worth of dental services. So, the value of all final goods and services in our economy in year one is 20 plus 1,000 plus 500. 1,550, 1,550. Did I say 1,550? It's 1,520. What am I talking about? 1,520. 1,520. 20 plus 1,000 plus 500. Yes, 1,520. And that we call nominal GDP. Nominal GDP. Ah, something new. Nominal GDP is, output valued, well, let me back up here. Be a little more precise. Is current output valued at current prices? When I say current, I'm talking about the year we're looking at. Here we're looking at year one. So when I say current, I mean year one. So in this case, it's year one output valued at year one prices. That's what we just did. Year one output valued at year one price. Year one output valued at year one price. Year one output valued at year one price. There we go. Nominal GDP is 1520. Now let's do it for year two. Well, in year two, we had 3 units of bread produced, and the price is 12. 18 bikes at a price of 48, and 7 fillings at a price of 110. So what has happened to our little economy? Well, we're going to do what we just did. 12 times 2 plus 48 times 3 plus 110 times 18. This is the value of the bread. This is the value of the bikes. This is the value of the dentists. And then we add them up. So it's this times this, plus this times this, plus this times this. Just what we did before. Whoops, this times this, I mean. And we get, this time, 1630. So, what happened to nominal GDP? It went up from 1520 to 1630. That's good, right? It's always good when GDP goes up. Well, wait a minute. There are 2 reasons why nominal GDP can increase. It can rise because prices rise. It can rise because quantity rises. If output stays exactly the same and prices go up, what's going to happen to nominal GDP? It's going to go up. Only because prices went up. Well, we don't like that. That's called inflation when prices rise. So nominal GDP can actually rise merely from inflation. I mean, output could actually go down, and nominal GDP can go up if prices rise by more than quantity falls. So what does this number, and then of course, if prices stay the same and output goes up, well, that's good. That's what we like. We like output go up. We don't want prices to rise. So the thing is, since nominal GDP can change for either reason, because prices change or our quantity changes, when we look at nominal GDP from year to year, we have no idea. We have no idea why nominal GDP went from 1520 to 1630. In other words, tracking nominal GDP from year to year tells us nothing. Okay? It's basically worthless. So, we still use the number in the calculation I'm going to show you later, but by itself, it doesn't really tell us much. So, and year to year, it tells us nothing, because we don't know why GDP changed from year to year. We want to know why. So, we're going to calculate something called real GDP. Real GDP is current output valued at base year prices. Okay? What we're going to do with real GDP is we're going to hold prices constant at the base year. So every year we calculate GDP, real GDP, what we're doing is we're going to calculate output. We're going to value that output at the same price. So prices will be held fixed in its base year. So any difference in real GDP from year to year to year will be entirely due to changes in output because we froze prices at the base year. So which year's the base year? Well, the base year is any year we decide the base year is. Okay? We just decide. Year 2 could be the base year. Year 1 could be the base year. Again, it's just whatever we decide it's going to be. So, let's say that the base year is year 1. Okay. Okay, now that we've chosen a base year, we can calculate real GDP. So, let's go through this again, and we'll put real GDP right here. So we're going to value this bread in year 1 at the base year price. Well, year 1 is the base year. So 2 times 10 is 20. We're going to value the bikes at the base year price, okay, which is year 1, so 20 times 50. Dennis at the base year price of 100. And guess what? Here's something to file away. In the base year, real GDP and nominal GDP are the same. They're equal in the base year. So just if you were to see a problem, let's say with a list of numbers of GDP, and it doesn't tell you which year's the base year, and it asks you which year's the base year, well, you look for the year where these two are equal, and that, of course, would have to be the base year. Now, it's possible that by forces of chance it could be equal in another year. It's so unlikely. Okay, it's not that it's impossible. It's a non-zero probability, but I guess it could happen. Okay, so year 2. So we've got real GDP for year 1. Now let's calculate real GDP for year 2. So we're going to take the bread, the quantity of bread, and value that bread at the base year price. So that would be 3 times 10. 10 is the base year price. So quantity in the current year valued at the price in the base year. So 3 times 10 is 30. And then we take the quantity of bikes in the year 2 and value it at the base year price of bikes. So that would be 18 times 50, which happens to be 900. And then we take dental services, 7 dental services, valued at the base year price, 7 times 100, 700. Add that up, and we get 1630. 1630, and I made an error in my adding. I looked at my notes is what I did, and I looked in the wrong place. That is 1670. Sorry. Okay. 1630. Now the number tells, now we know something. We actually know something. Real GDP increased from 1520 in year 1 to 1630 in year 2. And by the way, just so we don't get confused, at what point in year 1 do we know that real GDP was 1520? At the very end of the year, right? We can't know what GDP was during the year until the very, very end of the year. So this is at the end of year 1. This is at the end of year 2. So when did GDP grow from 1520 to 1630? It was during year 2. So we started out year 2. This is the end of year 1. So we started year 2 and grew to 1630 during the second year. So why did real GDP grow? Why did it go from 1520 to 1630? Well, the only thing that is allowed to change in the calculation of real GDP is quantity. It's output. We held prices fixed at the base year, so any difference in real GDP from year to year is entirely due to changes in output. With nominal GDP, it could be changes in output and changes in prices. That's why it doesn't really tell us anything. But having a frozen prices constant at base year prices, we know we did have some economic growth here. Real GDP increased, which means output of goods and services increased.